Recording. Okay, great. Okay, folks, we are here with Miguel Guerra. Is the one of the he is the co-founder of Seven Robots. He also has a couple of books titled Super Corporate Heroes and
Samurai Elf
yeah, Samurai Elf. Don't mind me.
and
Go ahead.
Elric the Wild. No problem.
Yeah.
No problem.
Okay. So how long have you been doing all this?
But I actually we started our own thing in 2006
Okay.
with Samurai Elf, and I've worked for companies like Heavy Metal Magazine, either translating or actually having stories published through them,
Mm-hmm.
as well as just doing my own thing, and you know now the current project is Super Corporate Heroes.
Okay, and we had previously reviewed corporate superheroes on a previous show, but for those who don't know, why don't you give us a quick synop on that?
Sure. It's basically about a world that centers around, well, the idea that there are superheroes. But the idea of superheroes in a world much like ours, they're corporate.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, anything that we put out, we're going to corporatize. I mean, if you look at something like
Mm-hmm.
Che is whether you like him or you don't, he
Right.
still has been marketed for T-shirts,
True.
And so we took that idea from an experience I had, uh, which was my brother was sick with cancer,
Mm-hmm.
and realized, and our doctors are the superheroes of our world,
Mm-hmm.
and if we really did have superheroes, they'd probably charge us just the same because
Yeah.
everything comes down to the bottom dollar,
True.
to the bottom line, the
True.
dollar,
True. Mm-hmm.
money. So out of that anger, I had that vision, which is the opening scene of the comic book
Right.
that you see, the first comic book, and from there it just sort of just grew from
Right.
that. And it's not about eliminating altruism; it's about pitting the idea of altruism with the ideal of it with the reality.
Right. Right.
So
Yeah, yeah, and and the I myself liked those. Really did enjoy reading that, because let's face it, we already know that yeah, somebody will say, I can make a buck off of this, and why not?
right,
So
right.
you know,
Well, look at SEAL Team Six.
yeah,
After they did what they did,
uh,
Disney was trying to trademark
yeah,
SEAL Team
six,
Six.
right, and they're like, no, it's not gonna happen. Yeah,
Right.
and just like with Medal of Honor, those guys, I mean, I guess in a way, that I don't think they were really looking to try to make a buck, but they really wanted to give the opportunity for people to share what they seen and this, that, and the other, and try to bring home that hey, this is what we do day in and day out to to try to make the world a better or safer place,
Right.
for good or for bad. So
Right.
you know,
Right. But they still get paid.
yeah, that's true.
They
Amen to
still
that.
get paid.
Exactly.
And the thing is this ideal of a multimillionaire
Mm-hmm.
who puts on a costume to
Yeah.
beat up on poor people.
Right.
You got to think it from that perspective too. I
Yeah,
mean, where
that's
you could
true.
set up schools to educate people,
Right.
and if there isn't something in it, whether it's fame or something, which we sort of tackle as well, the idea
Right.
of the fame, it becomes a sport.
Right.
Um, no, it just doesn't make sense. It's like
No.
two currents running in our country.
Mm-hmm.
One of altruism, one of when you're a child, you're fed all this superhero stuff.
Right.
And then as soon as you get older, you're told, well, no one's going to do something unless you pay them for it.
Right.
So it's
So yeah.
two contradictory forces.
Oh yeah.
But
That's true. That's true. What do you enjoy most about what you do with corporate superheroes and everything else that you've done?
um, I enjoy the process. I love drawing. I love coming up with the idea and seeing it make it to paper.
Mm-hmm.
But also playing with different themes and and stuff. And
Hmm.
right now, I'm just finishing up issue 5, and it has been artistically the most challenging because it's sort of really I've been trying to sort of harken back to the 1970s in terms of style because it's a lot of action.
Okay.
But issue 6 has a lot of history and
Hmm.
more intrigue and becomes more Dan Brownish. So it's going to be more challenging for us from writing perspective because it
Right.
centers around the villain's origin point.
Ooh.
But I enjoy both, and I just enjoy creating and putting stories out there, and sort of seeing how people interpret
Right.
it.
Oh yeah. Well,
you know,
that it, and therein lies. I think for any independent, the love of it is the process. What has been some of the things that has been a thorn in your side? Not just from a creative standpoint, but just from being an independent studio.
well, there are many things. I mean, you're basically just the small voice with these gigantic corporate machines that have apparently endless supply of money
Yeah.
to basically drown you out. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, and then the distribution channels, and thankfully we have digital, which sort of
Right.
keeps some spark alive.
Mm-hmm.
But the distribution channels have been such that if you don't get a certain amount of money in those sales,
Mm-hmm.
or if you get accepted,
Right.
you're just not going to see issue 2, even
Mm-hmm.
if they order 100 copies of it.
Right.
I mean, because there's a set sort of percentage, and we've discussed this before,
Right.
but they just won't do it.
Yeah, that's true. That
So
is true. And with you being in England, the market is so different versus it is here in the States. So it does so from what we discussed previously, for you guys, everything's pretty much in a graphic novel format. So right off the
right.
top.
Just one correction. I'm
Uh,
actually in Spain
oh, Spain. I'm sorry,
right now.
Spain.
Yeah, and,
Well,
and and you're absolutely correct. Everything is in a graphic novel format,
mhm. Right. So
and
so how does that really work? Because I mean, if for you to order to go to print, that means basically you got to have at least 4 issues in one lump sum.
right, right, which is actually what I tried to do with Samurai Elf.
Okay.
What I tried to do with Samurai Elf was forget about the floppies,
Mhm.
just write volumes.
Mhm.
So I'm still currently I put Samurai Elf on hiatus,
Mhm.
but I didn't do any of the floppies. I just went straight to it, and
Mhm.
it was supposed to be just one a year.
Right.
But again, the distribution stateside was such that they didn't want to handle that because
Mhm.
they wanted something that was monthly,
Right.
and
Well,
so
which is kind of weird because nowadays, I mean, yeah, you still got the guys still spitting out stuff monthly, but I'm seeing more people, and my wife and I have been talking about this back and forth as well. That you see a lot more people wanting the more bang for their buck, going
mhm,
to a graphic novel format and everything, either in print or in digital. You know.
absolutely. Absolutely. Actually, we're cutting back the individuals now that
Mm,
we have the graphic novel, the compiled first volume of Super Corporate Heroes, Sticky
mm-hmm.
Fingers, which is going to be out in January. But we have, just the but it's going to we have advanced copies, digital advanced copies. But
Right.
what we're going to do is we're going to have individual issues digital
Mm-hmm.
available, and
Okay.
eventually, but not print anymore because
Right.
there's just
Too
no need
much.
for there isn't any need for that. But I remember back in the day when manga around 2005,
Right.
manga hit the scene, and it
Mm-hmm.
was it was doing gangbuster
Right.
because it had a lower cost of production.
Right.
I mean, not to sort of take away the artistic side of it, but
Right.
there is that other business side to it,
Right.
and it's a lot cheaper as a creator to have uh, comics printed in a graphic novel format
Right.
than it is in a saddle stitch format. It's just You know,
Right. Yeah.
but
That make that with that it does make sense. It and just like for us doing what we do with our books, Barbara has already knocked out pretty much 12 issues, and
there you
basically,
go.
you know, and we're looking at saying, okay, it's getting harder for us to find space on a rack and this, that, and the other. So,
Right,
it's just the
right.
now here's another interesting question. Now with everything being on a smartphone or tablet, do you think that having stuff on on those formats can be profitable for a Kindle or something like that?
I think they can be. I think it allows you to take more risks
Hmm.
because what you're doing is you're essentially cutting out the production cost. The only
Right.
cost is the cost of the artist and the energy that's put in for the computer to run it.
Right.
Whereas with a floppy, you have the whole print production, so you're tacking on already before you even get out of the starting blocks.
Hmm.
You're already tacking on a cost.
Right.
Whereas with digital, it's PDF, CBR, .cbr,
Hmm.
whatever you have, so you don't have to worry about that. So even if you get $1 or 50 cents or whatever
Right.
it is, it's already more of a profit,
Right.
than you would. You first have to cover your costs of print and everything else to
Right.
then gain a profit. So yeah,
Yeah.
I do think it's profitable.
Yeah. Now, and then from there, and this has been one of the little gripes that I've been seeing as of late, and this is on from a digital distribution standpoint. Thanks to the digital revolution, there were a whole bunch of sites of offering digital downloads and everything else. Now, all of a
Right,
sudden, now after a couple of years, the smoke is cleared, and there's about a good two or three of them floating
right,
around. And I'm not mentioning names, but certain ones you try to get into, and
right,
it's no better
right.
than
Absolutely.
going. It's no better than going to, trying to go through Diamond Distribution,
Right,
and
absolutely.
and and my thing is this, if you're, let's just say for the sake of argument, all of a sudden somebody steps on something the wrong way and there is no more internet, guess, there you go, you know so
Right. Well, you know, one of the things that I think is really sort of interesting is how we approach technology.
mhm,
Not we, but the big companies.
right.
The big companies sort of have looked at the internet and technology as a one-way medium, like they do with TV.
Uh-huh.
The problem is that they're never going to really contain it because it's a two-way road.
Right.
So it means, okay, so you have two big distributors, but as soon as some people start talking on a board and say that there's another one, people are going to drop that one. Whereas
Mhm.
there isn't that opportunity with Diamond.
True.
And really, it's the opportunity. It gives you the opportunity to buy directly from the artist,
Right.
which we didn't really have that before.
Mhm.
So it's this way of trying to keep trying to shove square pegs into round holes. This is a
Right.
whole new way of thinking.
Yeah,
You know,
it is, just like when we were talking previously, that famous quote that still has me rolling. They said he's strangling at the market, and it's like, why are you choking? And
yes. Why are you dying?
yeah, why are you dying? you know, I can get more.
The
You can
industry's
get me
dying.
more. you know,
Exactly.
but
I mean,
yeah,
it's
you know.
so
It is, but the funny part about it is the logic of the mindset of the whole distribution process. Because the funny part about it is, if they were actually looking at numbers, I mean numbers, they would see that, okay, just like for you, you know you get X amount of digital downloads. Okay, and it's like they never take that one extra step saying, well, if they're doing this and this is on their own, what would, they never asked this other question. What would happen if they actually had a little more of a mechanism to get out there? You know,
Right.
and
Right.
and realistically, the digital format and the whole digital thing would could be a great incubator
Right.
for bigger and larger things. They could
Right.
say they
Yeah.
could, you know, so
It's a great testing ground.
yeah.
It's a great testing
Mm-hmm.
ground for ideas. This way, you have X amount of people who love this one comic. When you
Mm-hmm.
go to print with the graphic novel, you already know you have a built-in audience, and you
Mm-hmm.
really haven't taken any risks.
Exactly.
But, but
Exactly.
don't get it's just like Hollywood with the same thing with YouTube and the downloading.
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just embracing it and saying, okay, we're going to put the movies up, you're going to be able to see them, but hold on, you're going to have to suffer with some commercials.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
most people will be like, well, I'll put up with the commercials,
Right.
but I'll get to watch the movie.
Exactly, exactly. And that's the way. I mean, a lot of people. I mean, I understand you don't like the commercials. Who really does? But at the same time, I'll give Google this. Because let's face it, they could have gone very easily and very quickly the way of Netflix, Hulu, and everything else,
Mm-hmm.
to and
Mm-hmm.
charge, but they still are keeping, they still saying, hey, we want people there, and they actually are giving,
Exactly.
and they actually are giving people the opportunity to make money off of their own production, because you can still,
Exactly.
because you can run your own ads, and then if you hook into the Google mechanism, you get paid on that because you're showing the commercials. So,
Exactly.
you know,
That's how the newspapers work.
yeah,
Newspapers didn't really make it their money from people just buying them. They made it
right,
from
the ads, right,
the ads, just like comic books did.
right.
Comics made their money off the ads.
Exactly.
So
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, it is nothing new under the sun, and and realistically, Google has really expounded on giving uh, people who have the creativity, but not the fancy smanchy hardware or anything else, to get your word out there and get it out there worldwide. And
right,
so and it's funny that on the one hand they can do all this, but then at the same time they want to, the corporate structure wants to try to try to corner their little piece of the world. You can't have your cake and eat it too.
you
Yeah.
can't. And it's like I said, in many ways, there's a lot of comparisons to Orwell's 1984.
Mm-hmm.
But in 1984, it was a TV set one way.
Right.
What we're dealing with right now is a system that I can interact with it. Sure, you can send it my way, but
Mm-hmm.
now I can send it your way.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think they're capable of thinking in that way.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
You know,
Exactly. Now,
a lot of interaction.
yeah,
So
that's
go ahead.
that's true. Speaking of interaction, how do you feel for an independent comic book producer, graphic adventure producer, the use of social media?
Use of social media.
Yeah.
Well, I find that Twitter, and I usually I'm not the voice of Super Corporate Heroes of Seven Robots on Twitter. That's my wife Susie, my
Okay.
co-writer.
Mm-hmm.
But we found that Twitter tends to be a lot better than Facebook as
Mm-hmm.
of late. Facebook tends to be, it's good, but there's a lot of the blocks thanks to them wanting you to pay the $30 or $15 for advertisement.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to do a lot of odd little things to sort of, tagging people and doing everything else
Right.
to just get on the feed or get recognized. So,
Right.
uh, Google Plus, there just isn't anybody there, really. I mean, it's like digital tumbleweeds,
Okay.
you know. So, I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the opportunities are there, but you have to be very crafty and very creative to sort
Mm-hmm.
of reach out to people. YouTube is probably much better. More people want to actually hear hear and see
Mm-hmm.
things than
Right.
they actually want to just read things.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the nature of the beast. You know,
Right.
in many ways, flash cartoons are the medium of, or cartoons are probably more the medium of the internet and video
Right.
than comic books.
Mm-hmm.
Because, you know, if you could see it move, why are you going to bother with
Right.
something
Reading.
that's static?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Reading, you know, and, you know,
Well,
so
yeah.
that's sort of my thoughts on it.
Well, yeah. And it because trying to maintain all that this is the one thing that is really missed out of about the creative process for independence. Unlike the corporate structure where they can actually have uh, almost 30 people working on a book, and then
Mm-hmm.
even the same amount of people or more behind the scenes promoting
Right,
and everything else. It's usually for independent studios either one up to maybe 3 to 5 people at most doing
right,
everything.
absolutely. And then you have these companies like DC and Marvel who are owned by Disney
Mm-hmm.
and Warner Brothers, and ultimately how they have designated comic books is research material
Mm-hmm.
for movies. So, you know, it's as a big business they can operate at a loss
Right.
because they're just doing research. So when they fill out their taxes, they're like, yeah, you know, we lost money on this, that, and the other, but really, do we care?
Right.
We found out through market research that this is going to make an excellent movie.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So you know, the indie doesn't have that advantage. Now,
No.
the indie has the advantage of being able to put heart and soul into something
Mm-hmm.
and making it very personal and human.
Right.
That's our advantage. Now,
Right.
yeah, it's hard work. It's not, you know,
Right.
it's not for the meek of it's not for the
No.
meek. That's for sure.
No, not at all, none whatsoever. Because really, once you jump in it, you know, the one thing I can truly say is this: the audience for any comic book or graphic
Right.
adventure, they are a very loyal bunch. But then again, at the same time, you put your foot in it the wrong way, you'll find out
Yeah.
just how bad or how quickly you have angered them to no to no end.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, you know that it's funny you should mention that. Because usually when most creators, and it doesn't matter big or small,
Mm-hmm.
usually put their foot in it is because it was a gimmick,
Mm-hmm.
and readers and fans will know when something's a gimmick, and they will get angry that you're trying to pull a fast one on them.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you do something to make them angry, but you were intending to do it, and
Mm-hmm.
you stick to your guns and say, "Look,
Mm-hmm.
yes, it got you talking about X, Y, and Z. I
Right.
did it on purpose."
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one thing, and I mean, there is no shortage of supply of months that go by where some creator has to come out and say, "You guys just don't get it," you
Right.
know, blah 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 blah, and well, no, well, you did it because you're trying to like
Mm-hmm.
stir some trouble.
Right.
So now that the trouble's here, what are you bringing to the trouble? Gotta go
Okay,
for that.
exactly. Yeah, it's like now you got some explaining to do, Lucy. Yeah, literally,
Yeah, exactly.
you
And
know,
if I think fans will appreciate if you actually stand and explain
right.
as to what you were doing. You
Mm-hmm.
know, even
Yeah,
if you fess up and say, "Yeah, you busted me.
right.
I was trying to pull the gimmick."
Right, but but if you still have some good intentions to it, then from there, um, a platform is created. you know
Right,
so that
right.
helps. So from here, what else, besides the book coming out in 2014, what else have you got coming out, that people should be knowing about?
Okay. Well, I'm hoping to finish. If anyone's collected the first few four issues,
Hmm.
I'm finishing up. I'm finishing up the pencils for issue five.
Okay.
So, you know, I mean, the first volume collects the first four issues,
Hmm.
volume one of Sticky Fingers. But you'll be able to buy the chapters as they go. Of course, volume one has a lot of extras about the story and all
Hmm.
this other wonderful stuff.
Right.
But aside from that, I've actually put together a digital anthology called Earth Dream,
Okay.
which is scheduled to come out uh, Earth Day of next year. I almost forgot. And it's going to be many different artists with their take on the pressing issue of the environment.
Okay.
And it can be downloaded anywhere. And I'm going to try to have two versions. One with the original languages, because we have some people from Poland
Okay.
and some people from Spain
Mm-hmm.
and from other places, and one that's straight up English for the English speaking world, because we might not speak Polish, so you might want to know
Yeah.
what the story's about. So,
Okay. Cool.
and it's going to be absolutely free to download. So
Nice.
that that's basically the idea, is to bring awareness, to speak with one voice or many different voices, actually,
Mm-hmm.
about the topic. And it just doesn't have to be about global warming. It could
Right.
be the topics could range from everything from the bees and the dying
Right.
of the bees to even the chemicals in the water that we're
Mm-hmm.
drinking and absorbing every day
Yeah.
and breathing.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Cool.
So
Excellent.
there you go.
Yeah. Perfect. And okay, because we getting ready to wrap this up. Where can
All right.
folks? Yeah. Where can folks find to where they can download any of your work?
Awesome. Good. Good question. You can find it at www.7robots.com.
Uh-huh.
There you can download. We have a lot of the free Samurai Elf comics,
Okay.
and you can also purchase Alaric the Wild issue 1.
Mm-hmm.
You can also get advanced copies of Super Corporate Heroes there as well. And you can also, I think for the time being, we haven't taken it down yet, but you can still get print copies of the first 4 issues
Okay.
at Indie Planet.
Oh, okay.
And we're going to be taking that down towards the end of the year, and it's just going to be the volume 1.
Mm-hmm.
And the only print copies that we're going to have is going to be the volumes from now on. So
Okay. So in other
Basic.
words, soon to be collector's items.
Right. And you can find us on Facebook too at
Right.
Super Corporate, www.facebook.com/super corporate heroes.
Okay. Cool. Okay. Excellent. Well, folks, we have been talking with Miguel Guerra, co-founder of Seven Robots, and for all the way from Spain. And thank you so much. This time I'm gonna make certain to put this on the external, so that way I don't lose it. And
No problem.
yeah, and actually, if everything works out the way, knock on wood, I'll be able to get this up
Yep.
in a week.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I
So
appreciate it. And thank you for having me.
Okay, and
It's always a pleasure to be on your show.
oh, and thank.